Get going.
All right, welcome back to a brand new episode of Charm City Beat. We are live. The draft just happened. Before we get into this, don't forget to like and subscribe and be notified as we go live throughout the next few months of this off season. But guys, the draft has come. The draft gave us many gifts. I am, for one, grateful at the picks the Ravens did. Let's talk about it.
Tremendous draft. I think the Ravens got really good reviews when it was all said and done, mostly because Eric DeCosta did damage and he was patient. There was no trading up for guys like a Travis Hunter. There was no trading back. There was that. He just sat there, let the draft come to him, and he took some fantastic players with really high value, and he did it throughout the entire draft.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
no. Once again, we just kind of set. We did that weird trade where we moved back five and went up five. I think he was getting bored. I think he explained it somehow. It made sense, but I'm still when I watched it happen, I was like, "What? Why? Okay, whatever." But no, yeah. I mean, we just like almost every year now. We just sat there and yeah, look what dropped to us.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Watching this draft play out as it went over the weekend, it was definitely giving big like 2023 vibes. Definitely that draft we got Kyle Hamilton, Linderbaum got some big dogs in that one. Obviously, one of our biggest needs was the edge rusher. Love it. Mike Green right out the gates, round two. Definitely going to make an immediate impact. Um, Honestly, edge to me personally was the biggest need. So the fact we actually paid some attention on day two to it actually gave me a lot of confidence in him.
And the thing for me, which I thought was remarkable, is we're sitting there day one, picks coming up. You know, Green is on the Mike Green's sitting there.
Yeah.
So is Malachi Starks. I was publicly for Malachi Starks. I think I just love what he brings to the football team. So I was ecstatic they took him. But then the fact that Mike Green was still there at what pick 59 the next day, and they took him, I lost my ever living mind because that's a player that athletic at least ranked top 10 overall. Period amongst players. And then obviously two accusations for sexual assault, one in high school, one at University of Virginia, but both of them, unfounded, at least according to the Ravens, according to the police and everything. I mean, it's an asterisk there, but they felt comfortable enough to take him, and they got an absolute beast, arguably the best edge rusher other than Abdul in the draft. So that's an unbelievable pickup for them at a position of need, like you said, Gerald. But then to also get the superstar safety that now allows you to do the stuff that you want to do on defense. I mean, that to me gave the Ravens an A, no matter what they did the rest of the draft.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I said don't be surprised if they go safety early on. Like we never expected Kyle Hamilton. So if someone like that's gonna drop, yeah, I mean I am under the impression though if the Falcons did not go cuckoo and trade next year's first round picks who jump ahead of us who take James Pierce, I believe that is who is probably gonna go.
Yeah.
Just out of based on need. So yeah, it could have been a blessing in disguise. I mean,
I think time will tell. I think when we took Kyle Hamilton, I think it wasn't a Georgia Bulldog defensive tackle that was on the board at the time, and the Eagles jumped up to take him. And I wonder, he's a good ball player, but I do wonder, I think Kyle Hamilton might end up being the player, the class of that class when it's all said and done. I think he's, as of right now, on that first ballot Hall of Fame trajectory. Unbelievable enough to say that. And I just feel like the Ravens may have struck gold again here, waiting like they did to get a guy like Malachi Starks that can come in and just play everywhere. Corner, he can play, not corner, he can play nickel. He can play safety deep. He can come up, play the run. He's versatile, and I think he allows you and him and Kyle Hamilton to both play the same style of ball, and you don't know what's going to happen, which I think is phenomenal. And I think it allows Zach Orr. I think he was one of the true winners of this draft between him and Mike Green and some of the guys that we got. I mean, he's dancing a jig right now, I'm sure.
And the greatest thing about this is he's going to make an immediate impact. He played for Georgia, SEC ball. If you went to if you played in the SEC or played for the Big Ten, chances are you're going to make immediate impact if you're an early round pick. Just seeing what he did for Georgia was incredible. Again, like you said, a Swiss Army knife, kind of like Kyle Hamilton, where he plays literally everywhere. So I think in this, I'm just imagining coaching rooms trying to strategize against these two guys who literally you have no idea where they're going to play at any given game. Oh, we like the way Kyle looks on the left side this week. All right, you're on the right. And that's the freedom we have. Again, it's going to create nightmares the same way Lamar Jackson does on the offense. You're not going to know what the fuck to do.
And what I think about Stark is that he's coming to a team where former Bulldog, Roquan Smith is in the middle. You do have a Kyle Hamilton who's like literally recognized around the league as the top tier safety in the NFL. He's got a guy like Marlon Humphrey, all pro Marlon Humphrey in the secondary. He's got a guy like Menabuke who's been paid in this league. He's got a guy like Wiggins who, he's on the up and up, but he was a rookie last year. He's a first round pick last year. He was a guy that had a lot of expectations on this defense. And he's going to be able to lean on these guys to learn how to play this game a little bit. The pressure's off. He doesn't have to run the green dot like he did for the Bulldogs, where he was a 3-time, starting safety, national champion, captain, all that good stuff. I think perfect situation for him. It reminds me when the Ravens took Ed Reed in 2002, where you're just adding a potential superstar into the mix. I'm not calling him Ed Reed, but the defense is already established. You already had a big guy in the middle of that field, multiple stars, Super Bowl caliber team, well coached. I think it's the same situation. Same thing that Kyle Hamilton walked into. You're not expecting too much of him, but once he gets going, wow, he's going to have some big plays for us this year. I'm excited to see when that is.
Yeah, I really am.
Besides the fact that he's a number one pick, like you said, he's coming in with no pressure.
Yep.
None. I mean, if he bombs, that'll be bad, but that's his nothing. His ceiling is as high as he wants it to go this year. However he wants to do, he has no expectations. He's to come in to say, we got these guys. Mm-hmm. We got these guys. Just go, be you. If you can do that, we're fine. We'll get everything else down later. We'll get it as the year goes. You come in and play what you did last year to get you here, you're good.
Yeah, essentially he's getting the freedom to be an athlete. And that's what the probably scariest part about it is. He's just going to be playing pure ball. Of course, he's going to be trying to soak up everything he can from a Kyle Hamilton or Marlon or Roquan. That's going to be a given. But again, like you guys said, that freedom to do so, that's going to be awesome. Really excited. They also cleared up another hole, kind of. Emory Jones out of LSU. Yeah, I can't wait to watch him block for Derrick Henry. I do wonder. I guess they'll probably try to convert him, make him a Makari situation where he can play guard. I guess that's what they're looking to, because you have Rosengarten and Ronnie Stanley on the outside. So it's really, unless it's just for depth.
I think he's definitely getting put in that swing role. He's a tackle already. He could be a guard. I think he is, to your point, going to replace Makari. I think Voorhees is your starting left guard when the season starts. But I mean, to have a veteran line with this team, Super Bowl aspirations, I prefer that, honestly, than throwing a rookie in there anyway. I think it's been growing pains the last couple of years with Linderbaum and Rosengarten. I think it does, but if he can get to the point where he can step in and be a future starter, because at the end of the day, people get hurt, and all the other stuff that happens. And to have a guy that has left tackle experience, but, can play guard, I think it's I think Makari showed the value in that. So I'm excited about that. And they also got that kid out of Virginia Tech. I think his name is Peebles. I think he's another one. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's another guy that I think.
He's a defensive tackle. No, you're talking about.
Who am I thinking of?
You want
Garrett Dellinger, maybe?
You want well, the other O tackle was Carson Benison.
Yeah, so we got two more guys, and I just think they're more developmental. But we have a really good O-line coach, really good O-line system. We produced a lot of really good O-linemen over the year. 2 Hall of Famers at this point, if you count Yonda. I just think that I'm not expecting as much from them, and if they don't pan out, oh well. Because I do think they like Ben Cleveland as backup center at this point in the game. Wow. And so I think they had 11 draft picks, and I think they threw some darts, but these guys were all they got value where they took them.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
I know nothing else about Carson Benson except I've seen one clip of him completely dominate Sanders from the Browns took, or whatever one of them took in the first round, and he just put him on his ass. Yeah, Smart Stewart. Yeah, he dominated him at the Senior Bowl or whatever bowl it was. So that made me like it. Yeah, I'm imagining Amari is coming in as, developmental tackle, backup around, because like I said, how much of Stan they still have left?
I was about to say he's got it maybe 2 years.
He's someone they can build up. Like I said, he can play guard. Like I said, they have Venison can also tackle. They got the other guard from LSU. So they're just, like I said, depth, some competition for Voorhees and Fale. Just, just watch your ass.
And how about, compared to this time last year, we're going to go into the regular season with second year Rosengarten, second year starting Falele. Derrick Henry, second year in this system. Lamar Jackson now third year in this system. I don't know. We're just going to be absolutely rocking and rolling, health allowed, on both sides of the ball, because they only added depth to a defense that was already really good in the second half of the year. So I think that for a team that didn't have a lot of needs, they fill everything, which I think is incredible. And they did it with the first couple picks, first 3 picks, really.
Yeah, again, when we were doing this video last year, there was a lot of questions. We didn't know what was going on. We were hyped off of Derrick Henry. We didn't know we were going to get that Derrick Henry. We were a lot of questions on the O-line, a lot of questions really everywhere. But again, just like you said, on the value picks that we got, I mean, we saw a lot of guys leave. I think a lot of good depth guys that we saw go. So it was like, what the fuck are we going to do? But I think we made up for it. Again, Teddy Buchanan out of Cal, Jesus, the fact that we got him in the 4th round is a miracle, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a guy that I think could challenge Trenton Simpson as early as September, I think, for a starting spot on this defense. I think he's a ball hawk. He just knows where to find the ball. He doesn't nose for it. But I think where he's going to make his biggest noises on special teams, I think he's going to be an absolute monster for this football team. But I would not be surprised if he's that next big find on defense, where he's the guy, because he reminds me a lot of Patrick Queen. I think I texted that to you guys. Just the fact that he knows, if you watch his video, he can knife his way through defenses, and he just works on instinct. And I think he might be even smarter than Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen was a little raw.
He was. He was going into a very tough situation very early.
During COVID, no less.
He had no business.
How bad?
No. I think I also said it to you, guys. Trent Simpson better watch his ass.
Yeah,
because he got replaced last year by Chris Board and had Mike Harrison back there to play spots sometimes, and he was supposed to be he's supposed to be the new guy, and Roquan didn't play so great. Something wasn't working. Apparently, they've been working out together this offseason. So hopefully there's something there, because clearly whatever him and PQ had worked.
Yeah.
I think what they also had was 3 safeties at the time. I think the Ravens failed miserably last year in the safety department until they put Darius Washington back there. Yep. I think drafting Starks, to go back to him, I think it allows you to play 3 safeties. I think you can play less linebackers when that happens, and you can play more matchup.
Yep.
And so I'm curious how they show that physical side of it, because I don't think either of those linebackers are necessarily as physical as a Board or Harrison. So I think they've got to figure that out a little bit. But they do move faster, so maybe it does allow you to put Roquan Smith in the box a little more than he has been doing.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I 100% agree. The first thing I thought of was the fact that there's our third safety. Yep. There's that missing piece we missed all last year. There's probably a good reason why we didn't get to the AFC Championship. Again, that extra man back there, that extra brain, because the safeties have literally become the brains of the defenses, at least in modern times. So you have a second brain back there. Fuck yeah, I'm stoked, man. But let's rip the Band-Aid off. Ravens did something unprecedented. They drafted a kicker.
All of it.
They drafted a kicker. First time ever we drafted a kicker.
Called him for it, having Jordan's like, nah, they ain't going to do it. Boom. There it is.
They did that shit in the 5th round nonetheless. 6th round nonetheless. Tyler Loop out of Arizona. Man, that wasn't an afterthought.
Because there are already reports that they interviewed or had a visit with the quarter kicker from Florida State. So they said many times, no, we're looking at kickers.
Yeah.
They didn't hide it. I mean, they drafted a punter a few years ago. Do you all love in the 4th round?
I think the difference, though, is that punter was one of those. I mean, I think that they have to do it because they can't be burned by losing now on Tucker and then losing out on having a kicker. I think they can control the narrative this way. I do expect them not to part ways with Justin Tucker unless it comes back. I feel like if you're comfortable taking a Mike Green based on allegations, how can you not keep Tucker based on that? Because apparently,
they'll just swing a salary cap.
That's true. Tucker makes a ton of money, so he may have to take a pay cut.
That's also why they're waiting until June 1st if they are going to get rid of him. I've been saying that for a while because they can make it even less hurt.
But I do think that they may try to restructure with him after June 1st. I can see a world where they have 2 kickers. I think was it you?
I said because again near the end of the Stovers run, I remember they were starting to have this random second kicker, and now that we can not have to carry 3 quarterbacks, so I mean, why not have 2 kickers? One can be kickoff, Tucker can still move extra points or something, or like I said, just in case something happens.
He's also declining last year. I mean, there was points last year where we're like, is he going to survive the bye week? And then he came out of the bye week and had a tremendous second half. Saved his career.
Well, like I pointed out, though, if you look at after the bye week, I think including the playoffs, he had five field goal attempts. Yeah, he made them all, but compared to what he was doing before, like I was saying during that whole stretch, our offense was too good to have to rely on him to kick field goals. After the bye week, our offense was like, okay, hold on. We need to turn this shit around. Well, we went for more on 4th down.
Now,
we just scored touchdowns. He made everything. It was great.
They don't cut Justin Tucker, right? We're here all summer helping this kid learn how to kick in the NFL, and the greatest kicker of all time, and then they cut him.
Damn.
They kill him off like Gandalf. Why, you fool?
Or don't remember, this is the same organization that somehow convinced the Vikings to give us a pick for a kicker that we were going to cut.
Yeah, we could trade Justin Tucker. I think there's a lot that can happen there. I think after June 1st, they might I think if they redo his contract, I think you're going to see a lot of options on the table. I don't think they want to part ways with Justin Tucker right now because I feel like it's sort of died off. So unless more allegations come out and they that can definitely happen. It happens all the time in these situations.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like they're just saving their asses for protect their ass because I think that's how you win and lose football games if you can't kick the football. So I think they just controlled it. Got a guy they like, guy that kicked the 62-yarder, program record for Arizona what school did he come from? Arizona, right?
Arizona, yep.
Yeah, and then he had the most. I think he had the best field goal percentage in program history. I think he barely missed any extra points. I think he was like 9 of 11 or something. He just was a tremendous kicker. I think the Ravens got who they wanted, and so I think that they're ready for whatever happens.
I will say this. This is my thought. The Ravens got their insurance policy, but they also realize, like you said, dude's getting old. If these allegations, if any of them, if one of them proves him guilty, or if he's guilty or convicted or whatever the hell is going to happen, if anything happens, it's an easy fix. That's literally what it is. They know in the summer shit's going to get hot. Whatever the fuck's going on with this legal proceeding, we don't know. They're very tight-lipped about it, so for good reason, I guess. But yeah, whatever the hell comes down the line with that is definitely going to dictate this kid's future. I think. I'm looking forward to see what he can do in the preseason. Honestly, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes over. I really don't. I really won't be.
Yeah, unlike with the Deshaun thing, it has died down. Deshaun seemed to kept going every week more and more. And even if the NFL finds just anything, they could easily be like, all right, suspend Tucker, you're suspended, and judge said, insurance policy. We have it there. We don't have to be like the Browns, like, oh crap, who's our quarterback now? Because we just traded everything for this guy. So, like I said, and like I said, I can now vision us having true kickers. Done before. If Tucker even starts to slip up mid-season, yeah, we.
Jordan, I think you're on mute.
Yeah.
My bad, boys. My bad. Sorry, we had a train nearby. No, what I was trying to say, if I was really interested by the mute button, is that they did something, but they drafted a kicker, but what they didn't do was draft a tight end or a running back. So that tells me that they're comfortable. If they trust Mark Andrews will be here, that's what that tells me. Because it was a deep tight end class, and they could have easily gotten depth
They ain't even get
and
one.
made Isaiah Likely the number one. They didn't, and then they didn't draft a running back. So I think they're comfortable with Keaton Mitchell and Ali being your backups there.
Well,
I have no problems.
I will
with
say they didn't draft one, but they are bringing them in.
Oh yeah, they have to.
They brought two in undrafted, and undrafted people like to make this team.
I mean,
I agree. It's they're kind of set with their depth at those positions.
Yeah,
exactly. No,
they're going to have to make a decision on what tight end they're paying soon.
Well, I will say this again, Jordan. Big point made. The fact not one, no depth tight end. That says Charlie, Mark, and
Isaiah Likely.
Yeah. That's our rotation.
It wasn't broken last year. It started slow, but once they all figured it out, they all had their roles.
I am curious though how these roles are going to play out through the spring, the rest of the spring, and then when we get into training camp. Again, is Isaiah Likely going to be taking more starts? I imagine it's going to rotate. It's going to be a rotation thing. I think similar to what you see on a lot of running back rooms. I think the Ravens just have that privilege. We have two very good tight end, and we have one that, again, Mark Andrews, when he is at his best, he is the best.
And so, he should be coming in, one, with a huge ass chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And two, the healthiest he has been the past 2 years.
We hope.
As long as he doesn't flip his truck again.
Yeah, he had off in late January.
Yeah.
Well, he also wasn't coming off a broken ankle.
He's vacation.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
I said we're probably going to see it. I don't know how much more difference than Mark Andrews can see because he's already been one of the best regular season tight ends.
He's awesome in the red zone, and I think it's a window year for this team in regards that a lot of these guys won't be here next year. I think this might be the last year of Roquan Smith, last year of Derrick Henry, last year of Mark Andrews, last year of Justin Tucker, maybe last year of Marlon Humphrey, last year of Ronnie Stanley. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of guys that got us to this point to where we have to cash in. But I think it's the best team we've ever had in the history of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it's a do or die season. Watching that draft and the way it ended, it was like, we got to make a move. Again, that window is closing. Guys are getting old. I don't see Ronnie Stanley here another 2 years. If another year.
If he makes it to the year.
Up there in age, like you said, it's do or die this year, I think.
Yeah.
I definitely think this is the hot seat. It's like Harbaugh. If you can't get a Super Bowl out of this team, I don't know.
Yeah. And Lamar Jackson, it wasn't all his fault, but he is running out of excuses. You can't keep winning MVPs and keep failing in the playoffs. It's just what it is. But he's the same age as Peyton Manning was when he started going on his runs. And so I'm not worried that much about it. And I do think that once it happens, it'll happen and it'll be what it is. So I think we're good there.
I agree. I was literally thinking that. It's like, once we get that first ring, if we get there, I think it's a wrap. Again, I don't know what it is preventing them. Again, we beat ourselves. You can't be the best team, not only on paper, but literally in play, the number one offense, and then you lose. You just fall short. Again, it just can't happen. We are the ones beating ourselves. I don't know. We just get away from playing our style of football.
I do think the way we started the year last year, dropping 2 in a row, losing to the Oakland Raiders in that weird game, and then we lost to the Cleveland Browns, and that should never have happened. I don't think those losses are there this year to start the season as much, because I think having Derrick Henry already in the lineup, and they probably learned a little bit from preseason. Maybe they do run him out there for a couple plays, because I do think that while we almost beat Kansas City, we weren't playing our best football at all. I think we had 8 penalties on offense, and I just think that just can't happen again. But I do think that defense is so much more talented this year than it was last year.
Yes.
On paper. We said this last year and it failed miserably. Trenton Simmons never materialized, and guys like
Brandon Stevens is
Williams
oh,
and
Brandon Stevens got replaced by a imposter.
yeah, I'm excited about that. We haven't talked about that movie either to bring in that quarterback to be that depth guy in free agency.
Woozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk. We really didn't get to talk too much free agency, but I mean, the Ravens did make some moves. Again, they flashed that we got DeAndre Hopkins. I totally forgot that happened. That seems so long ago. Yeah, like you said, Chidobe Awuzie, obviously that adds to that cornerback room. Yeah, we re-signed Ronnie Stanley, Patrick Ricard, Ross's boy, wearing the jersey right now. Go figure. Tylen Wallace, Ben Cleveland, and Ardarius Washington was re-signed again. When I saw Ardarius Washington re-sign, it showed to me that yes, he might not be the starter long term, but he's going to be a huge piece of this defense.
I put on show that like most years, no other team wants to negotiate the contract for you.
Yeah.
And who was the safety that went to the Pittsburgh Steelers? I can't remember. In Miami a couple years ago.
Elliott.
Yeah, I think the Ravens learned their lesson there. I think they probably could have just not let him go and had a nice physical safety, 3 safeties. I think it took them this long to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think now they're very comfortable having 3 safeties and just running a defense with 3 safeties, and it's sort of just their identity, and it allows them to play more. It allows them to play in the dime a lot in the nickel, just play with these these defenses that are running at them, but then have physicality there too, which I think is unique to take advantage of their weapons.
I was so on that board. I was like, we signed Marcus Williams. Why not keep him? Like, why do you know Sid's like, you never know. And now all of a sudden, oh, that's a good idea. Duh.
And I think Ronnie Stanley re-signed for less when he was actually linked to teams like the Chiefs. So I think he's committed to the Ravens. I think
I
think the Ravens have that, that name, whatever that is that the Ravens have, that people just love playing for them. Like they treat their players well. I think they're very transparent. I think Justin Tucker knows what's on the board. He probably had a very long conversation with him. Like, look, we're going to draft the kicker. You're going to compete for that job. And if you know and I know, if all goes well, it's still your job, but just know it's business. I think he appreciates the Ravens aren't cutting him immediately. Things like that. I just feel like that's probably what's happening there.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens are a stand-up organization. Again, you saw Hard Knocks. Number one, not only just their facilities. I mean, you've been to the castle, Jordan. You've been inside the war room on draft night. You've seen the fact. I mean, we've all seen just how nice facilities are, how decent the owner is. You don't see the owner caught up in a lot of bullshit. He's not in the media. He's just, hey, here's the money. Eric, do what you do. Make me a fucking team. Every year it happens.
Yeah, he doesn't meddle. I think when he talks, we listen. I think he has that kind of voice.
Yes.
And I think when he does talk, things get done and moves are made and players are brought in or cut. So I think that is awesome. And I think he Ozzy we trust and Eric DeCosta we trust. And I think that Ravens have been blessed with a front office that, I mean, the Chargers took half the goddamn team because with them, including our head scout and everything, and yet we're still cooking. And so I just think that that's just a testament to the way this team has been built since they got here in '95.
Yep.
And I'm all about it.
Easily. And now here we are. 30, is it 30? Jesus Christ.
29 years.
29 years.
Oh, we're in the 30th right now. It pops my app every time I open it.
That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. Time is a thief. Yeah, here we are nearly 30 years later, still running, still grinding. Again, the draft and even some of these signings, we got, some local guys coming in with undrafted free agent signings and the mini camp invite. Again, it's just Ravens are just a top tier organization, to be honest. And I mean, I'm not even trying to glaze over them right now. This is just straight up facts. This is why guys take pay cuts to stay. Ronnie Stanley was connected to a team that makes the Super Bowl more than it doesn't. And he was like, no, I'm going to stay home. I know what I got.
There are players that have played 1 year here that have retired as Ravens.
Yeah.
They chose to retire as a Raven. They could have done the whole outside of day kind of no. I think Weddle retired as a Raven. I think Steve Smith retired as a Raven.
That's crazy.
They had minimum years here, and they're like, nah, I'm retiring here.
Steve Smith aside, and I think it's because he was there for so long. Most players who come here don't bash the teams that they left.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's telling that like someone like a Patrick Queen has to talk so much because they realize the difference in just everything. They're playing in a college, essentially University of Pitt. Like that's a terrible facility, Pittsburgh, and like he knows what he lost when he didn't resign here, and he's got to like chirp a little bit because he's just any way he can feel relevant because he knows that like the Ravens are just going to keep marching on and they're going to replace him with someone as good, better, same. Who knows? Like they'll figure it out. Like, and we beat the shit out of them in the playoffs. So and it's going to happen again if they don't have a quarterback.
I went from having team meetings in a nice auditorium with nice comfy chairs to whatever that weird place they did with their office chairs they were doing in Pittsburgh.
The standard is the standard, Ross. God damn it.
Yeah. Those chairs are nice. I got to sit in them.
I mean, let's be honest here. Let's even take a look at the division because you guys did bring up the Steelers. The AFC North in the draft.
Drafted to stop the Ravens.
They literally drafted to stop us.
All their first few picks for almost every team was to stop the Ravens and Lamar and Derek.
Yeah, you have the Steelers who desperately need a quarterback. There's no way Mason Rudolph is the question, and they were like, "Nah, we're good. We're focusing solely on mainly defense." And kudos to you, whatever. The Browns, the Browns, man, the Browns are gonna brown. How? Now, again, there was some weird shit going on with Shedeur Sanders. The fact that he fell to the 5th round is kind of crazy. But somehow now he's on the Browns. I'm like, what? You guys have like 4 or 5 quarterbacks, including Joe Flacco.
I just want to say I'm glad the Browns did because for some reason in my mind, if he was there any longer, that just seemed like something the Ravens would do for some reason. It's like, hey, it was sexual. We have 5, 6 round picks. Hey, let's take Shedeur. I really didn't want to.
It wouldn't have been a bad backup for Lamar.
Yeah, but
I would have hated it.
Are you shocked that they traded essentially Travis Hunter to move back a few spots to get a first next year? And because I feel like you're deliberately not taking the best player in the draft.
Originally, before they decided to take a whole bunch of quarterbacks at the end of the draft, I was thinking wholeheartedly they're punting to next year. You showed us that list of the talent that's going to come out next year.
They still are punting. I think Sanders is a win-win lottery ticket. If he doesn't pan out, great. If he pans out, they'll pay geniuses. They don't have to either one.
The problem is they're hoping he does good. I was thinking they were just going to go in with Flacco or whatever and maybe just hope they suck enough and then use those 2 first-round picks. But they're going to expect something from Sanders and not just, be like, no, we're giving up on this year. But then they started taking a bunch of quarterbacks, Mike.
I think their defense is too good. I think their weapons on offense are too good. I don't know if Nick Chubb is still going to be there or not. They went running back early, but I just feel like
they had to.
They're too good, and they're not dysfunctional enough, like the Jets, like the Titans and stuff, that to where like they're going to be.
Good. They just finished with a 2nd pick. What else did they add before the draft?
Yeah, that's true.
They literally just had the 2nd overall pick.
They barely lost some football games though last year. I mean, I'm with you.
And barely won some games also against us.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was with Darian Johnson-Thompson and famous Jameis.
All I'm saying is the hype behind Shedeur Sanders, because again, he is a very talented player. It might have just earned us another Hard Knocks.
Yeah, man, he got what are you talking about? He got his number retired at Colorado for all those championships he won there.
Look.
They might go Hard Knocks, with the Giants, with the Browns, with the Jaguars.
Forgot the rules. I forgot what teams can't say no. There's they made after a while because it started getting weird for teams. They actually started making rules like, you all can't say no if we come to you, and some teams can. And I forgot what the rules were, but I think the Browns can't. I think the Browns are allowed to say no. I don't know.
That's weird.
They are not. I mean,
just because I think too many teams were saying no, so they had to put rules of like you can't say no. Okay.
Say that's about. I think the Bengals had a decent draft. I do think that they had nowhere to go but up on defense, obviously.
Easy.
But they did take Shamar Stewart, who I was high on before the draft started. that edge rusher, and then they go back and get Demetrius Knight, the linebacker. I think from Texas. Maybe I'm wrong with that.
I don't think.
South Carolina. Great pick. They needed it.
Yeah, I mean,
they had no choice. I mean, they were getting absolutely gutted. I don't know if it's gonna help them or not, but
God, man, they gotta get young draft picks on defense. How much they're paying their wide receivers and quarterback, and still haven't paid Trey Hendrickson.
Is looking for $30 million, so
he should get it too.
He should.
You don't get from someone. Bengals ain't got enough money for that. 115 and Higgins, 161 and Jamar. Whatever the hell they're paying Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're in a desperate situation because, again, you've paid these receivers top money. Each of them, 4-year contracts over $100 million. You have one of the highest paid quarterbacks. And now your defense is depleted. Yeah, you had no choice but to run defense. But again, that you're essentially long balling it. In my mind, the Bengals are spitballing, hoping that in 2 years this plays out. They know this year is going to be rough. You have to, and if you don't, you shouldn't be running a team. It's going to be rough this year, and they're hoping that after a developmental year, hey, it's popping. But I don't know. We're going to see.
They're going to have to score. They have the weapons. They're going to have to score 50 points to win a game.
Have to easily. Their best defense is going to be their offense.
Man, hell, you saw the both Ravens Bengals game this year because both at one point both our defenses were ass.
Yeah. Oh shit, the Steelers. Oh yeah, I forgot they did drop the quarterback.
Yeah, eventually. You should know him.
Yeah, Ohio State. Ohio.
They also took your other boy Sawyer.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
They went all Big Ten, I think.
I was mad about that. I was hoping he was going to.
I was mad as shit. I thought he was coming to us. I was like, all right, it's about to happen. Nope.
Still think Steelers took 2 people we wanted because I wanted the D tackle they took.
Oh yeah, Derek.
If anything, well, no, not. We were never going to get him. The Black one, that guy, Namaki Black. But no, that if anything, that's the one slight miss that I've seen other people mention. We never got a Michael Pierce replacement. So anytime I was looking at the D tackles available, I was like, "Where's the big boys?" I was like, "Oh, I want that guy." The guy who's good, not good. But even EDC said we'll assess and address that after the draft.
I mean, that's something you could pick up in free agency if we need to.
I think that it was a deep draft, so I'm actually shocked they didn't get one for defensive tackle. I mean, that was the one thing I knew about coming into this draft. It was shitty quarterbacks, really good defensive tackles, or at least a lot of them. I mean, not good, but a lot of them.
Like I said, they got Peebles. Yeah. Like I said, he was undersized. He's undersized for what I was looking for. In the middle, just because who we just lost. We just lost a.
I'd be shocked if they sign somebody or trade for somebody here at some point. I mean, EDC is not nearly done, and so we'll see what happens with a lot of bad teams out there looking to offload players, and I think they'll send a 4 or something to, I don't know, the Jets or something, and get somebody in here.
Yeah, there's options. I've seen a list.
Yep. What a God, I love the off season. I do. I truly love the off season as much as I love the regular season. Because it just is never ending. May 1st is the deadline for teams to execute the 5th-year options. Ravens have 2 players, Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum. Kyle Hamilton has expressed that he is not in a rush to get paid.
Him so much.
He's such
he is my favorite player. Since
I want his jersey so bad.
And what's funny is that he will get paid in the summer. Yeah. So they got to restructure Lamar Jackson, I think he's like $48 million against the crap or something. June 1st next year. And I think in that move they will re-sign Linderbaum, they will re-sign Hamilton, and they will re-sign somebody else. I just think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They keep their guys.
I bet you Kyle's going to be easily probably one of the highest paid safeties.
He'll be the highest paid safety in the history of the NFL.
He's breaking the record.
He'll break every record. There's been players since then, but they both set the market. And I wouldn't be shocked if Linderbaum he makes the Pro Bowl again. He's going to get high dollar. And I'm surprised. He doesn't feel like he's been here that long, but I guess they have been.
Going on their 5th year. Gotta
2,
decide.
23, 24. I mean, there's no way.
Well, no,
22, 23, 24,
you have to
25.
decide. You have to decide on the 5th-year option before they go into their
Oh,
4th
okay.
year.
Okay.
Because if you don't decide, they go into their 4th year, and it becomes their contract year.
Gotcha.
If
So
they
yeah.
decide to do it, they'll go into their 4th year. They still don't have to re-sign them until next year.
So they could probably wait until 2026 spring to sign them
But it's
potentially.
still you want to put both of those at the same time.
No, I mean they could even.
You almost have to do Kyle's 5th year because it's the cheapest right now.
Yeah.
Because Linderbob's, like it says, is the average of all offensive linemen, which means tackles are expensive.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It's pushing close to almost 10 million more for Linderbaum's than Kyle's, and that's gonna. I don't know if that's changed since I wrote this.
And that was the same draft as Isaiah Likely, who obviously was in a 5th year, but he's probably going to get re-signed. I think they like Isaiah Likely long term, but Andrews is more, he's the touchdown king.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen Isaiah Likely drop a ball. So, I mean, I think they're both really, really good. And we're blessed to have them both. It's like having Adley Rushman and Gunnar Henderson like 2 years ago. Yeah. Not right now. They suck.
Yeah.
I don't think they suck completely yet.
Oh, God. Yeah, the way that's been going, Jesus. That's another episode in itself we'll probably have to do at some point.
As of right now, it's 4-0 against the Yankees.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. Sugano is pitching really well.
I've determined, especially if he keeps going, he is only good as long as he does not pitch against the Blue Jays. Look at his only 2 bad starts. Then against the Blue Jays. You don't like Blue Jays.
Oh, man. No. Exciting offseason. May 14th, next big date for football.
Yep.
The NFL full schedule is released, and that's likely when we will probably be filming again. Unless we do something beforehand. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, nothing should happen.
Yeah, it should happen. So
the only thing that should happen, according to the dates for the 5th year option, and that's
unless Kyle Hamilton signs a big contract, May 14th we'll be back talking about the schedule. That's always exciting. But first game ball of the offseason, I think. Obviously it's an easy one. In EDC we trust. That's a no-brainer. That whole front office masterclass. Again, it's one thing to draft good if you're in the early rounds all the time. It's easy to get the best player off the board, but to manage to be a late 20, one of the 20th picks in the late, and manage to find their pieces every single year, it's insane. Again, just insane, just absolutely incredible. That's why our front office is always being poached, and again, we do things different here in Baltimore, guys. But any last thoughts before we get out of here?
I think that it's well known by now that Eric DaCosta hates to move up in draft. He doesn't like trading to move up. Didn't want to do it this year. Didn't do it when Kyle Hamilton was on the board. Didn't do it when anyways, guys. He traded up to get Lamar Jackson back into the first. I think he's done it when it's necessary. I also think that he is notoriously tight-lipped, and he'll even play games with people before the draft. So I think he was a little bit scared about Malachi Starks. I think he was linked to the Ravens pretty early on. But the fact that it worked out the way it did, I mean, when the Falcons moved up the jump balls, I was like, oh, fudge. But we didn't, and we got our guy. And I think that in 4 or 5 years, when we're talking about Malachi Starks, we were talking about Kyle Hamilton. So, I mean, to me, A-plus draft.
Yeah.
Especially if Mike Green ends up not being a complete rapist. We're going to be on easy street, boys.
Oh, let the good times roll. Go Ravens. Ross, what about you, bro?
I want to start a case study of why Ravens don't like Maryland players. Same as Gerald pointed out, why Falcons don't like Georgia players.
Yeah, apparently they don't draft Georgia.
But I mean, they're not always good. I'll admit that. Most of the Ravens players, I mean, they're Maryland players. They're not usually playing great. But the ones that are good, they never seem to want. Ty Felton, he went before I even realized he went. So the Ravens had a shot at him. Granted, we didn't need a wide receiver. So
yeah, that's been a 3 on him.
But there's been there's been other ones that the Vikings seem to like to take that we don't seem to want. Like, Diggs we passed on many times. There are some good ones that we're just like, even the D tackle that the Dolphins took.
Here's the reason.
He's a little undersized, and I mean, I like the linebacker the Bears got, but I just feel like it's almost never been. Stephon Diggs, the one that suits me the most. I think he was. They had a lot of stuff on him. He's proved in college he was that guy, but
he would have been perfect.
He went in the sixth round for a reason, Ross. I mean,
you're right. Look what it turned into.
That's true, but I mean,
he would have been the perfect one because he literally was a top recruit from Maryland who chose to go to Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they probably regret it. But at the end of the day, DJ Moore. I mean, you're not drafting him in the first round if you're the Ravens. I mean, they could. I mean, actually, Pat, didn't they draft the receiver that year?
No, yeah, no, because that year we moved back we didn't take him. We took a great tight end called Hayden Hurst. Yeah, we ended up getting Lamar Jackson. Do you imagine if we had Lamar Jackson throwing to DJ Moore
with Mark Andrews?
With Mark Andrews that we could have taken later on. That was a big one. We're like, now we'll trade down. He's right there. I'm like, huh? Okay. I
honestly was surprised at how good DJ Moore's career has gone to date. I didn't think he was that good at Maryland. I thought he was good. I didn't think he was like 17th overall good, but what are you gonna do?
Here's my thing. This is my opinion. I don't know where Eric DeCosta's from.
He loves Penn State players.
Okay, then that 100% seals it up. Yeah, most of these, I just don't think. I just don't think they have the ties to Maryland like Ross does, or like any of us do, really.
I'm just saying,
don't see the value in
historically for the Ravens. It's done pretty good. This is the first, and he doesn't really count because he wasn't all the active roster much. Every time we've had one, we've seen them do good. We drafted Torrey Smith, signed Trent Lewis. It was great.
Yeah, I think most Maryland players tend to be athletic, but they don't tend to be big. And I think the Ravens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think of physicality a lot of times over. I mean, they'll take Zay Flowers aside, they'd rather take big guys. I don't know. I can't explain it. Maryland has good players, but they're usually playing above themselves.
Hey,
we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Don't care about size. It took a little LaChante West from Colorado, their kick returner.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
big little guy. I looked up his stats and I was like, "Holy crap, he's tiny."
Yeah, just size shit.
I was like, "Yeah, we got Shador's wide receiver, not Travis Hunter, the other guy."
I don't know, but regardless, the Ravens kick ass in drafting. That's undeniable at this point. Again, exciting. Another draft down. Here we are talking about it. On paper, Ravens look again like the best team in the NFL. There are no questions on the offensive line at this moment. There are no questions really anywhere. It's just the Ravens just have to stop beating themselves every fucking year. Stop beating yourself. Play like a Raven, all that good stuff. That does it for our show, though. Awesome draft. Super excited to see these rookies in camp, see them in the preseason, see how things go in the regular season, which ones make it, which ones don't. Nonetheless, we will be there all along the way. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Press that notification button because we tend to go random. We tend to go live randomly. You just never know. So be notified when it happens. And take care. Go Ravens.